Okay, so you might be wondering why people don't take you seriously. And today's topic, obviously, it's related to the gym and the result and the effects of doing that. So basically, after today, you're going to understand why nobody notices you and how you can actually change that. Now, this is something that may be hard to hear, but one thing you need to accept going forward is that whether you like it or not, human beings are naturally visual beings. So you are going to be judged of the way you present yourself in everyday life. So I don't know if it's sad, but I also think it's fair because how you present yourself to the world is a good reflection of how you also see yourself. So if you can wake up and spend the next 5 days without showering or taking care of your health by exercising or eating right, then in a way, why would you blame someone from not being enticed by your presence? Because, like I said, it makes a lot of people wonder if you can actually step out into the world like this and not give a care for the kind of reception you're going to get. Most people don't want to be associated with that type of person because how you do anything usually is how you do everything. So if you can't take care of yourself at the very least, it's very easy for someone to suspect that you're never going to take anything else seriously. So as a result, people don't want to be around you. You see. Now coming to the gym. Basically, this is before you start going to the gym and after you start going to the gym. Now basically, in the before, as you can see, you're scrawny and you basically have a mere face. I'm sure you guys understand what I mean by that. So you're small, you're slouched most of the time, and you have your head down. This is actually something that's very common because, like I said, one thing you need to understand is people already know. You don't need to tell someone that they're skinny. You don't need to tell someone that they're fat. The truth is, when they look themselves in the mirror every single day, they see these things. So it's a complete lie when someone is surprised that people are calling them out, even though it doesn't make it necessarily right. The truth is, deep down, you already know what you look like, and you already know what you have to do to improve even your state of mind, if I'm being completely honest. So speaking from my own personal experience, I'll be real with you. Ever since I was young, I'm someone who always had a high self-esteem. So I'm not going to come here and claim that my self-esteem was low, right? But one thing I knew is I was skinny and I was small. And it's so crazy how, especially now when I look back, I realize how small I actually was. And it's so funny to me. And I remember this one time I was chilling with my friends, and I even told them, I was like, I can't believe you guys allowed me to live life looking like this. Not that there was anything completely wrong the way I looked, but it's just something I find funny. Why? Because like I said, I'm someone who always had a high self-esteem. So I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. I'm not afraid to post my progress. You understand? So me becoming muscular didn't really change my own self-perception. I always thought that I was someone who was worth speaking to. But I will say my confidence rate has definitely gone up. So while my self-esteem is still basically good and the same, but it's the confidence where I'm like, okay, now I generally do feel more confident than I used to. Now, generally, these are the experiences you're going to face, especially, I'll say, after about 1 to 2 years, when you're now starting to see significant progress. This is the kind of reception you're going to get from people compared to the one you were getting before you started working out and actually changed or transformed your body. The first thing, more than likely, you were overlooked when you were skinny, scrawny, or fat, right? You were ignored. People didn't really care what you had to say because you didn't look the part. You didn't look like someone who was worth listening to. The third thing, you were low on energy. This is actually something that's so funny, but the crazy thing is the more active you are generally, like playing sports, going to the gym, exercising, or even taking long walks, the more energy you actually have. And it's so funny. Why? Because you'd like to think that me exerting more energy means I feel less energetic generally. But to test this, I want you to spend the next 7 days in bed. So wake up and just spend the day in bed, eat from bed, don't go out, sleep, wake up, do that for 7 days. You are going to see how tired you're going to feel. In fact, you don't even need 7 days, if I'm being completely honest. After 2 days, you feel so low on energy, you feel so slow, because the funny thing is, human beings are animals, right? So what do animals do? Animals thrive outdoors in nature. So as a result, our nature needs us to move, to be mobile. That's why we have legs, we have hands. We need to be testing our senses, all our 6 senses every single day. That's how we reach peak performance and a peak level of survival. So yeah, number 4, no confidence. As I explained earlier on, it's very easy to feel or have a low self-esteem when you truly know that you could be better, but you're just choosing not to. And I always say this, it's actually a choice. You choose to go to the gym, you choose to exercise, you choose to eat well. The same way you're making the bad decisions that keep you from growing positively is the same way you can start choosing a better life for yourself. Now, this is you after seeing a decent amount of progress. It's been 1.5 years in the gym. The muscles are coming in, the definition is coming in, the shoulders are coming in, the abs are coming in, the weights are moving, that you're breaking records. You just hit 225. And all of a sudden, things start to change. The perception that people have of you start to change. Here's how. Initially you were overlooked, now you're respected. You were ignored, now you're being noticed. You were low on energy, and now you're high on energy. You had no confidence. And now the level of self-assurance that you have is one that you've never experienced before. And you feel better than ever. Right? Now, one thing you need to understand about being respected is that being respected naturally builds your confidence even further. You see? So, people are starting to respect you because you're doing something that's difficult to do, right? And one thing you need to understand about people is that most people naturally are followers and they're not leaders. You assume that everyone wants to be a leader, but the thing is, people just want the fruits of being the leader in life, the fruit of being a pioneer. But no one wants to put in the work it takes to become the pioneer. The sweat, the tears, the blood shed, everything. No one wants to go through that part, but everyone just wants the fruits of being a pioneer. One thing you're going to realize is that a lot of people are ready to follow. Naturally, people want to be guided. You could literally have an amazing idea in your head, but if you don't share it to the world, it's useless. So someone would rather confirm their idea through someone else rather than them being the first to take that step or that leap of faith forward because they're afraid of what the world thinks of them. So what happens is when you start getting respected, your self-respect increases, your confidence as a result increases as well. Now, it will take a lot of people to humble themselves to accept this. But even for me, I realized that as much as I'm someone who doesn't thrive off external validation, each and every single human being needs some sort or level of external validation, no matter how confident they are. Because you need to understand that confidence comes from evidence. So you had to prove something to yourself, had it maybe affirmed or even challenged, but you probably stood the test of time through those challenges or through those opposing forces, right? To the point where you actually started getting people getting on your side, and as a result, your confidence kept growing. You understand? So probably I could say you were blessed with the ability to be resilient at an early age. This is why you probably grew up with a high level of self-confidence from the time you were young. But like I said, you need to drop your ego for this part. This is the harsh truth that I actually realized recently, in fact. Human beings thrive off external validation and acknowledgement. I don't care who you are, and I hope to believe that every single person watching this is going to agree with me, especially on this part. But why? Right? You guys need to understand that we are selling ourselves every single day through our interactions, relationships, in business, social media, job interviews. So, looking at all these things, these are basically the things we experience on a day to day. Specifically, looking at job interviews. You see, job interviews, you get a job, you make money, you survive. So, with that being said, you need validation and a positive perception to survive on earth. Yeah, I don't make the rules, but I would argue against the whole world. I actually think this is a fact. And yeah, you need external validation to survive. Like just a decent amount of it. I'm not saying we all need the exact same of external validation. No. But there's a certain level of external validation that you need in life to survive. Now, here's another harsh truth. People mirror back the way you treat yourself. So when you neglect your health, your posture, your habits, people notice. So as a result, if you invest in yourself, when you build strength, the world treats you differently because you are different. Like I said, when you do difficult things, people are naturally drawn to you because of how difficult it is. You guys may be surprised, but going to the gym 3 times a week consistently over 2 years is something that 98% of people in this world can't and will never do. As easy as it sounds, spending 4 hours per week in the gym is that difficult. But this is where the whole thing gets a bit interesting. The world doesn't change, you do. At the end of the day, the world isn't suddenly nicer to you just because you started lifting weights. It's because you transformed into a new person. It's the transformation that people are attracted and drawn to, right? So now you've become the person who commands respect without saying a word. As soon as you walk into a room, head up, chest high, you speak at the top of the room, people are already naturally drawn and attracted to you. They can't help but notice and ask, who is that guy? So here's one thing you need to understand. The gym is just a tool. The real transformation is how you see yourself. So yeah, basically, this is what I have for you guys today. And like I said, the best way to actually start building your self-esteem, your confidence, is actually through fitness, right? Just making a small decision, not even joining the gym, to be honest, but just you starting to eat better, right? You going out less, starting to take long walks, starting to swim, starting to play a sport, right? Joining a tennis club, a running club, doing something so small can effect in a change in your life that you never would have believed. But the problem is, the reason why you don't know how good things could be is because you haven't made the decision to start, yet you know you have to. So, if you're tired of being overlooked, and you're tired of the way people treat you, and you're struggling with the low self-esteem, you need to understand that it starts with changing the way that you see yourself. I coach people just like you to build discipline, strength, and confidence in the gym and in everyday life. I left the link in my description. Book a call with me today, and let's start building the version of you that gets noticed, respected, and valued.